Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. I'm so excited because our son Brent and his lovely girlfriend Scarlett are coming for a visit. So I've decided to make Cranberry Pistachio Shortbread. I like this because I can make the batter ahead of time and then just slice and bake the cookies on demand. So I'll meet you back in the kitchen and I'll show you how to make this delicious shortbread. Cranberry Pistachio Shortbread. I mean, the name says it all. Like all shortbreads, these are delicious, but I really like the addition of the red dried cranberries and the green pistachios, not only for flavor, but for color. It really makes the shortbread pop. The red and green is particularly nice for Christmas baking, but really I make these all year around. So I like to start first because most of the work, I mean, shortbread batters are really easy to make, but we are using pistachios, and so you have to chop them. And that is most of the work I find with this batter. So you will need 1 cup, which is 120 grams of pistachios. And you can use salted, unsalted, whatever you like. And you just need to coarsely chop them like I've done here. I did that by hand, so it took a little while. But I do that first. And then, for your batter, if you have an electric stand mixer like I have here, use your paddle attachment. Or you could make it with a hand mixer, or really, you could just make it in a large bowl with a wooden spoon. And you will need, like all shortbread, the quality of your ingredients is important because it's really butter, sugar, flour. That's essentially it. So you will need 1 cup, which is 225 grams of, a good quality butter. And if you live in the States, they have those European style butters that you can buy, and they're actually labeled European style, which means higher fat content, which then makes a better tasting shortbread. So if you can find those, use those, or else just, a regular good quality, and have your butter at room temperature. So I'm just going to beat that on medium speed just to soften our butter. Okay, and then need some sugar. So 2/3 of a cup, which is 135 grams of granulated white sugar. And then I know a lot of people don't like to add vanilla, and you don't have to add the vanilla extract, but I find it adds like a little bit of flavor. So I'm adding 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Now I'm just going to beat this on like medium-high speed just to mix everything together. Shortbreads are very dense in texture, so we don't want to beat our butter and sugar too long because we don't want to get a lot of air. So mainly what we're doing is just mixing them together. Okay. And then you will need 2 1/3 cups, which is 300 grams of all-purpose flour, or you may know that as plain flour. And then I'm adding about half a teaspoon, couple grams of salt. I mean, you can use a table salt. I prefer like a kosher salt. I find the flavor's a lot milder than a regular table salt. But, if that's all you have, by all means, just use that. So I'm going to add that. And then you will need your 1 cup, 120 grams of chopped pistachios. And you will also need 1 cup, 120 grams of dried cranberries. Or if you wanted to, you could use dried cherries or a combination thereof. And mine are not sticking together. Sometimes they're very moist and they stick together. So what you could do, if that's just before you put your flour in your bowl, just take a couple tablespoons of your flour, put your cherries in a bowl, and then just toss. And that helps to separate those cherries because we don't want, or cranberries, sorry, we don't want big chunks there. And I'm just going to add this right along with my flour. Pretty easy. And then we're just going to mix it all together. Okay, Okay, that looks good. It's not quite like a solid mass, but that's okay. So I'm just gonna scrape that off. And so now what we're gonna do, what I like to do with this batter is I'm going to form it into like a log. And then they're like slice and bake cookies. I mean, I know a lot of shortbread people, you chill it and then roll it and then cut it out. But, especially because this makes such a perfect Christmas cookie, you want to make things easy. And the great thing is you can make the dough up and form it into your logs and then either just refrigerate the logs for 2-3 days, or you could even freeze the unbaked logs, and then when you're ready to bake, you just like kind of slice and bake. So, which is particularly nice when we're during the busy Christmas season. So now you just divide it in half. If you have a scale, I mean, it's not critical, but if you have a scale, you could weigh your, did that about right. Put it in half, or you could weigh it and then get it exactly. So now, you could do a round, although I find it's always hard to get the perfect round because in the fridge it kind of settles and then you end up with kind of a flat bottom. So what I like to do is just do it in a rectangle. I find that makes it easier. So you can take a piece of plastic wrap, you could use parchment paper, you could use wax paper, and then just form it into a rectangle. I like to do about 8 inches long and 2.5 inches wide, which is 20 centimeters by 7.5. And so I do have a ruler. If you find your dough is kind of falling apart, just kind of get all that butter in there so you can just kind of squeeze it and it will come together. That's about right, so just almost there. And then what I like to do, once I get my shape, you can take like a spoon or a spatula and just kind of smooth it to make it all nice. Now what you could do if you're not perfect, and if your shape isn't perfect, but your batter's getting really soft, what you could do is just kind of do a rough shape, put it in the fridge for like a half hour, and then bring it back out and, straighten up the shape, make it a little nicer. So that's what you do. Wrap it in your plastic or wax paper and put it in the fridge. Now if you want to bake your cookies off right away, you want to chill your batter until it's firm. That takes 2-3 hours, or like I said, you could leave it in the fridge for 3 days, or you could freeze this for a couple months. So when we come back, we will slice and bake our shortbreads. So when you're ready to bake your shortbreads, first preheat your oven to 325 degrees, which is 165 degrees Celsius, and then you will need a baking sheet. You can line it with parchment paper like I've done here, or you could just even like just lightly butter it or spray it with one of those non-stick sprays. And then you need to slice your cookies. I like to slice them into about 1/4 inch thick, which is about 1/2 centimeter, and just like so, and then just space them, a couple inches, 5 centimeters apart. And then how long you bake shortbreads, a lot depends on how crisp you want them to be. I find somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes. I like mine slightly crisp, so I like the outside edges to be a light golden brown. So about 15-20 minutes. So don't our shortbreads look gorgeous? So what I'm going to do now is just let them cool in the pan on the wire rack for a couple minutes, and when we come back, we will try one. Okay, so there we go. They look so pretty. So let's try a piece. Shortbreads. I just love shortbreads. Buttery crisp. Then you got a little chewiness from the dried cranberries and the crunch from the pistachios. That is a great tasting cookie. So try them. And you can just cover and store them for several days or even freeze the baked cookies. So until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com.